Okay. Question number 4. What aspects of technique are interesting in the work?
The use of by the chorus is interesting, and it gives us it gives us insight of the past events that occurred here, such as the Demon War and how the two brothers killed each other. And also, the use of speech is interesting, as it gives, let's say, Antigone's speech when she's escorted to the cave. It tells us more of why she did it. Like, she couldn't replace her brother if it was her. If it was a child or husband, she would have done what she did, but because she can't replace her brother, she did what she did.
Going on to the use of speech, they also use speech as a way of characterizing those who's in the play. So by how they speak, what they act, it's all based on what they're talking about, kind of. As there's no like stage direction for what happens like the messenger, the way they tell them that Haman's dead and shows she is that the messenger comes back and tells the wife. So there's no actions to it. It's more the speaking that represents the story.
For me, like the most captivating thing in this play is the use of like blocking within the play, and the use of like the positioning of the sun. Because in blocking, as we know, like the sun comes from the east and sits in the west, and so when people comes from the left, from the right, it means that they're coming in, like they would always come from the right and they would always exit from the left. And also about the sun, it's very interesting how like the fact that the sun represents Creon's rule. So when it's at the beginning of the play, the sun is just rising up, and towards the end of the play, when Creon's rule is like over, then the sun is setting down. And when it's in the noon, it's like the climax of the story. And it says here, like on page 52, noon is when he gives the punishment to Antigone, and he tells Antigone, he tells the guards to take Antigone to like place where she the cave, yeah, and also, and that's when like the sun's position at the highest and like the highest point of the book.
I thought the use of like the thing that the motif of like things come in two, like the twins. I thought that was really interesting, and I think Sophocles uses it to create suspense within the play, because from pretty like soon in the play we know that Antigone is probably going to die because she is sentenced to death by Creon, and like throughout the whole play, like we're not sure who's gonna like die with her, and in the end it happens to be Haman, and I thought that was kind of like. It was kind of unexpected, because I didn't really expect him to be the person that would die with that too.
I think for me, the most interesting part of the way Sophocles was writing this play is his use of characterization. And there are 2 points that why this really stuck out for me. One of them is like going back to what Megan said 2 discussions ago. I think she was talking about how we were exposed to Creon more. And I think the fact that we were exposed to Creon more was an indirect characterization towards Antigone. Because while reading what Creon thought and Creon's words, I feel like I understood more about what Antigone felt and her ideas towards. And then the second thing that really amazed me was Ismene, because I think she's a character that we weren't exposed to as much as we could, and I think we overlook her a lot in the play, but her characterization from the beginning, where she's seen as the ordinary Greek woman, till the end where she stands up to her sister and she's like, no, I'm coming in with you. I think that's a really good show of development of characterization.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. So, what was interesting? Okay, then I want to make 2 points for me. One, this is not about like the word English, but allusions to Greek mythology. I read a lot of Greek mythology as a kid, right? So, like reading through this and like looking at that, right? Like looking at all the allusions, I'm like, hey, I know this stuff. That's cool. I know stuff. And so that was kind of cool for me. And the second part, I know the aspects of technique, other than them being kind of like cool. I don't find them interesting in by themselves. What I find interesting is that they deliver a message at the end of the day, right? The sun represents how like Creon's rule is going, and what's important to me isn't like the sun representing. It's that the fact Creon's rule is going like slowly up and then down, and why is that going down, and discussing that. That's interesting. The fact that the sun's going up is not. And the fact that it's a metaphor is not for me.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's fine. All right. I'm sorry, volunteer.
Okay, well, this is kind of keep going with Evie's point and Magna's discussion from earlier. And it was that what I really found really cool was that all the characters were humans, that they all made mistakes and they all fought for what they believed in. And so you can't really hate anyone, and you can't really see anyone as an antagonist, at least I believe that, because like, yeah, Creon makes mistakes, but he's like too quick to judge, but like, we do that a lot as well, so like you can relate to Creon, so you can't necessarily see him as a bad guy, and at the same time Antigone's fighting for what she believes in, and which is like encouraged by, like nowadays it's like, state your opinions, fight for what you believe in, so you can't really see either of them as a bad person, which I thought was really cool.
2 things. One is the aspect of the work which I like, the technique which I found really interesting was the fact, the colloquially staccato. Like, I read that when I was reading the forward, and I was so interested in that, and basically like, when like the dialogue is like, one person goes and then another person goes and it's like really quick. That was interesting because when that happened, like, matters of urgency was discussed. So like in a short span, like if we were watching it in a short span, a lot of like very important ideas would be presented. Like basically like Sophocles' political ideologies like seep through when it's colloquially staccato, and that was interesting. And like kind of adding to Sammy's point, I think one, because it's a play, and 2, because it's translated, I don't think we can like ever completely like appreciate the techniques used, just because like the whole idea of lost in translation, just like even like now, if I translate one thing from another, like the complete meaning isn't transferred. So I think like we as lit students wouldn't ever be able to like fully appreciate the technique used, which is why it might be boring sometimes.
Shouldn't be saying those things in the literature.
No, I'm justifying why.
I completely agree with Magna. Yeah. Because they're like, I think we can all relate, well, nearly all of us, that like when you're talking one language, like your native language, let's say, and then you try to find that one word in English or in French or whatever language you speak, and you can't find it, And I think that something that I was disappointed about is that I feel like the more you go into olden language, the more specific words it have for feelings or actions or situations. And because this was originally written ancient Greek, I feel like we're missing out on all those words and all those specific feelings and situations that would have helped us understood the story or the characters or the meaning or Sophocles' ideas more.
And it will also help us appreciate like the Sophocles techniques and all that.
Yeah.
So nobody here speaks Greek? Huh, that's a surprise. There's many languages that are spoken in this room. I don't learn Greek. Okay. That's a shame. Anyone else? Yeah.
I like how kind of the people's fate is determined by what happened in the past, and what has happened in the past is described by how, like, what their sorrows are, kind of like, Creon's is saying her Antigone's kind of, Antigone's telling herself she's kind of done for because of what happened to her father, and we kind of learn throughout the story why she, like, what happened in the past affects what happens in the future. It's kind of like going back and forth on it.
Okay, I found it really interesting how Sophocles uses the cars
to represent what people think. So, because he usually Cleon uses like people as an excuse for his actions, like wouldn't be right to people not to punish Antigone because she broke the law. But when the chorus talks, it's clear that he's lying. He's only using like people to justify what he's doing.
Also like how Antigone's like characterized as Sophocles, like she's just like a pure rebel, like she's like completely going against like Creon's rule, like directly in front of Creon's face. She's like, yes, I get it, like, you know. And I think kind of maybe Creon is a little intimidated by that, like, because it's his first day on the job, and then suddenly you have this person going directly against your rule, like, on the first day. And I think, like, he doesn't really know what to do with that, so he responds with, like, anger and, like, really harsh rules. And if you see someone immediately already going against the rules on the first day, then of course you want to enforce them even more, like, to make sure that doesn't happen again.
I've just got this image of Antigone as a nun in a biker's jacket. Like a leather rebel biker jacket. Yeah, okay, cool. Good luck.
Yeah, to Elizabeth, what do you mean that he uses people?
I don't mean he uses people, but like he refers to the population, to the people, to justify his actions. So in some yeah. So he punishes Antigone, and he says it wouldn't be right to others not to punish you because you broke the law. So if I don't punish you, I shouldn't punish anybody. So he uses the people to justify what he's doing to Antigone.
It's a good point.
Okay, great. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to start a Google Doc. All of you. Separate? This is where you're going to do your reflection. This is in a Google Doc as well. Just because they're safer.
Is there first
You're going to be doing your reflection tonight. Well, you're going to start now.
Yeah.
Should we share?
That and what you need from the schedule. It also looks pretty cool. I'm going to show you this one. So I have to start a new Google Doc. So guys, really good job on your discussion. It's okay.